Hey, could you be a bit more diligent with the housework?
When I got home from work, I was met by my disgruntled husband. I'm sorry, I've just been so busy lately. I promise it'll calm down soon. Just bear with me. I've been working overtime continuously these past days, so I've barely had time to do house chores when I get home. I manage to do the laundry almost every day, but since it's not appropriate to vacuum late at night, I only quickly vacuum the living room on weekday mornings. For meals, I mostly resort to meal prep or takeout. Even I can't deny that I'm feeling miserably at house chores. My name is Michelle. I'm a 29-year-old office worker. I met my husband Jake, who was my middle school classmate, by chance at a cafe about 3 years ago, and we exchanged contact details. On the day we met, I was out alone watching a movie. As we live in a small town, almost everyone goes to the same large movie theater. On my way back, I noticed Jake sitting at a table next to mine at a cafe in the shopping mall where the theater was. It was like a scene from a comic book. I even wondered if it was fate. Although we exchanged contact details then, we didn't communicate much. But later on, we both attended a school reunion, and our relationship began amidst the encouragement from our friends. Jake and I got along well in the past, and we still clicked, so he proposed a year into our relationship. Perhaps because we live in a small town where people tend to get married young, I was starting to feel the pressure by my late 20s, so I accepted the proposal immediately. Of course, I love Jake, but looking back, I wish I had taken more time to understand him better. Jake, who has always lived with his parents, is practically incapable of doing housework. Since I used to live alone and have my way of doing things, I prefer to do everything myself, rather than getting half-hearted help. I only ask Jake to take out the garbage and clean the bathroom, and I take care of the rest of the housework. But a month ago, I started a busy period at work and began working overtime. A colleague also recently went on maternity leave, so there is even more work than usual during this busy period. As a result, I have less time for house chores, and it seems to annoy Jake. And finally, Jake blew up his frustration. Exhausted, I came home to hear,
Michelle, enough is enough. I'm supposed to wear this outfit tomorrow, but you didn't even wash it. All you have to do is throw it in the washer and hang it out to dry. Why can't you do that?
I didn't even have time to do the laundry yesterday as I came home late. I didn't have time this morning either, so I was planning to do it when I got home today.
And another takeout meal?
Today, I worked late again, and when I brought home some takeout, that's what he said. I apologized, but Jake didn't seem to cool down.
I mean, seriously, I'm tired too when I come home, and this is how you treat me?
Jake sighed heavily as he spoke. Hearing that, I felt my blood boil. Excuse me? Then why don't you help out with the chores a little? As you said, all you have to do is throw it in the washer and hang it out to dry, right? If it's that easy, why don't you do it yourself? And you could bring dinner once in a while, couldn't you? It's not like you're supporting me financially, we're splitting the bills, and I'm doing all the chores you can't do, so stop complaining. Although I blurted it out, part of me felt relieved for speaking up. But of course, Jake didn't feel the same way.
Is that how a wife should talk?
That comment made me see red again. What do you mean? I would do that if I were a stay-at-home wife. But if I quit my job, wouldn't it be hard to live on your salary alone? We talked about not quitting my job when we married, and you agreed, didn't you? And we also agreed to help each other out when things get busy, didn't we? With that, Jake heaved a sigh.
That's so Michelle of you. If you're so keen on working, why not work by yourself? Women really should be keeping the home in order. Unlike you, Michelle, my girlfriend helps with the household chores, keeps the house spotless whenever I visit, and even made a homemade cake last time.
At that moment, I froze. Wait, what did you just say? Girlfriend? Who are you talking about? An old flame? Or are you having an affair? While my mind raced with a flurry of thoughts, Jake smirked.
You've aged, you know. She's stunning, and what's more, she's the CEO's daughter. Her parents even endorse our relationship, and they asked if I'd be interested in succeeding the CEO.
And then, shockingly, Jake produced divorce papers.
That's why, fill these out. I'll be leaving tomorrow.
Caught off guard, my mind was stuck in disbelief. Hold on a minute. Jake, are you saying you're having an affair? And you're divorcing me to marry your mistress? Jake laughed mockingly.
That's right. I'll even pay whatever you want. I'm the future CEO after all.
You think I'll just accept this and sign the papers? I retorted, but Jake remained unfazed.
So, you want to keep living like this? You think life with me, who has lost affection for you and yourself, worn out by work and chores, is enjoyable?
I stuttered, unsure of what to say. He was right, though. Our loveless relationship was only causing stress. I thought about it long and hard, but I grew wary of thinking any more. I responded impassively, fine, but I'll file for divorce once I've sorted things out, like asset division and alimony. I'm too busy with work right now, so you'll have to wait. Jake, looking exasperated, replied,
Yeah, always putting work first. I'll leave the papers here. Let me know when you filed them.
He then left the living room for the bedroom. Some time passed, work settled down, and I found a lawyer through a friend's recommendation. The lawyer, who specialized in divorce, listened to my story, and we decided to demand more alimony than average. I had anticipated Jake to negotiate the price, but surprisingly, he agreed to the amount. Is it really true that he's being considered for the next CEO? I felt a pang of regret, but decided to let it go. If I'm getting a decent amount, I might as well go on a vacation alone and refresh myself. Half a month since Jake left the apartment, just as work was settling down and the alimony negotiations ended, the empty apartment started to feel lonely. I should move, I decided. There's no point in staying here. It's too big for one and feels hollow. Luckily, I can take time off work now, so I should move while I have the chance. I headed to a real estate agent and signed a lease for an apartment closer to my office. I moved a week later. I had to inform Jake about the move as the apartment was under his name. Immediately after, he called.
Do you really think moving out of our memories-filled apartment is the right choice? Isn't it lonely living alone in a strange place? I'm sure you haven't forgotten me, so you might as well dwell in the past.
Jake and his arrogance looked down on me and spoke with such condescension. Yes, dealing with these sudden events was tough, but as the days turned into weeks, I found myself getting angrier. I realized I had no affection left for Jake. No matter how much I told him that I've moved on, Jake only responded with conceited remarks like,
Stop hiding it,
or
don't play tough.
I was so annoyed by the conversation that I firmly said, Could you just pay the alimony soon? Once you do, I can file the divorce papers.
Yeah, got it. I'll pay within this week, so prepare the divorce papers. My girlfriend's parents say we should live together only after we're officially married, so I'm living in a hotel now. Quit my job too, currently in a recharging phase, I suppose.
Apparently, Jake had quit his job since moving out to prepare for his career change. And then he said he wants to submit the marriage license, have a grand wedding, and start their newlywed life in the mansion owned by his mistress's father. He's in a hurry to submit the marriage license. He also said that the meeting between the two families has already happened, but something about his story feels off. Jake's parents are dependable people, and it's odd to think they would go along with the meeting for a second marriage even before the divorce is finalized. I asked Jake, but his answer was vague, so the truth remains unknown. Well, maybe Jake's parents also hope for his remarriage with the president's daughter more than I do. I thought I had built a reasonably good relationship with my in-laws, so this was somewhat saddening. But it doesn't matter anymore. I told him I'll contact you once I submit the divorce papers and hung up the phone. A few days later, having received the alimony, I submitted the divorce papers. This officially ends my tie with Jake. When I contacted him, he responded with a flustered, "Understood." Judging from the way he spoke last time, he will probably remarry soon. The next day, for a change of pace, I went shopping at a mall. Unexpectedly, I bumped into Jake. As I was walking around the mall, someone called out to me from the front.
"Michelle, have you aged again? You're really looking like an old hag now."
When I looked up at hearing these words, it was Jake. This shopping mall is the largest one around here. It's where Jake and I once reunited, where the movie theater is located. I cursed my bad timing. Jake laughed in a mocking way, said,
"Today I got remarried to Olivia, the president's daughter. Unlike you, she's beautiful and the best wife."
As soon as he said this, a woman carrying shopping bags approached Jake. So this is the famous president's daughter. She's certainly beautiful. But as I looked at her, thinking her name sounded familiar, our eyes met. She also seemed a bit surprised. Could it be? While I was watching her, Jake, oblivious, continued talking.
"Olivia's family owns the company that you know."
Ignoring Olivia's murmuring, "Let's go," Jake informed me about Olivia's family.
"I'm going to be the next president of the company. Can you believe it?"
The moment Jake said this, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Jake, with a blank look on his face, and Olivia avoiding my gaze. "So, you've remarried already. Good for you. You got a beautiful wife. She doesn't look like she's the same age as me at all." When I said this, Jake looked puzzled. Of course he would. I had mentioned the age of his new wife without him telling me. I continued laughing. "Ah, my condolences." And then I turned my back to Jake and started walking. However, Jake, ignoring Olivia's attempts to stop him, chased after me.
"Michelle, what does this mean? You know her?"
I told him about the high school we both attended. We were classmates. Well, you wouldn't recognize her by her face. Jake was astonished. "It's good you got a beautiful wife, but she'd better be after all the money she spent on plastic surgery." In fact, Olivia and I were high school classmates. I didn't recognize her at first by her face, but when Jake talked about Olivia's family, it clicked. I've always disliked Olivia, who flaunted her wealth. I was somewhat prominent back then due to my achievements in the sports club, and it seems Olivia didn't like that. She used to pick on me, saying that I lacked femininity because I was in the sports club, and a lot more. Olivia had this habit of belittling others, which led many of our classmates to despise her. At our recent reunion, Olivia, who had not attended, became the talk of the day. Apparently, she'd had plastic surgery to deal with her facial complex and was now a regular on the party scene. Remember the girl Jay called ugly when he saw my graduation album? I recall telling him that she was the CEO's daughter. Jake, at this memory, turned pale.
"Even if she's rich, I wouldn't want that face,"
he had said. As the memory returned to Jake, he reddened and yelled at Olivia.
"Were you deceiving me all along?"
A heated argument ensued between Jake and Olivia. From their argument, it seemed they had met at one of these parties, and Olivia was completely infatuated with Jake. Olivia, in a remarkable bout of audacity, retorted, "I didn't lie. I just didn't say because you didn't ask." Jake was about to burst with anger, but Olivia cut him off. I've been waiting all this while for you to finally break up with Michelle, your living girlfriend. Besides, it's settled that I'll work at my father's company. I can even live in a luxury apartment. It doesn't matter now. The worst part is finding out Michelle is your girlfriend. Small world, huh? I felt something was off. Wait, does Olivia not know you're divorced, Jake? At this, Jake hurriedly tried to silence me, but I revealed that I was once married to Jake and had filed for divorce just the day before. Olivia was left speechless. I continued. In fact, I called Jake's mother yesterday to inform her about the divorce. She told me she had no knowledge of any remarriage, let alone meeting Olivia's parents. I had thought of identifying Jake's mistress and claiming damages from her, but since Jake agreed to a higher compensation than market rate, I didn't bother looking into his affair. But to think he was hiding his marital status? That's marital fraud, isn't it? After they turned pale and bickered a bit, I decided to leave the scene. A few days later, I was contacted by Olivia through one of our classmates. Please don't tell anyone about this. And I received a sum of money she referred to as compensation for my troubles. More like hush money, I suppose. But I had no intention of telling anyone anyway, and getting paid for my silence was a bonus. Olivia ranted about Jake to me at that time. Apparently, the parents Jake had brought for the meet and greet were not his actual parents, but were hired from a family rental service. I was surprised such a service existed, but it made me wonder if Jake had wanted to marry Olivia, or if he was just after the CEO's position. Though Olivia was in love with Jake, it remained a question whether Jake was attracted to Olivia's looks and status. Olivia, who had since begun her marital life, could not do household chores at all, and this realization enraged Jake. Her cleaned house and homemade cakes were all the work of her housemaid. In the end, Jake and Olivia divorced almost immediately, and Jake was sued for marital fraud. Despite the hush money, Olivia spilled the beans, and apparently her father was livid. It was rumored that Jake might find it difficult to continue living in this town. Now, he was living in a cheap apartment, working day and night, and he was at his breaking point. He asked me to return the divorce settlement. I responded, "What? You must be joking. I have zero intentions of helping you. Never contact me again," and hung up. Since then, I used my accumulated paid leave for a personal recharge period. I took a trip on my own and experienced new things. There were wonderful encounters, and I have a feeling that my life ahead